Yeah, mine are different than anything we normally do.
Those are the fun ones sometimes.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? All right, well, let's just hope it works properly.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right, this is Escape from Chernobyl. Also, he starts with a start of this. His English is his first language. When he typed this out, he said there might be some grammar problems. My name is Yuri. I'm a musician in taverns of Northern Europe for drinks and for the generosity of patrons. I was a once classically trained pianist. I studied at St. Petersburg Conservatory in the late 1970s. I have lost my eyesight, and I have numerous illnesses, and I am a survivor of Chernobyl. As the disaster first occurred, I was in a state-sponsored musical dance troupe. Our gathering was immediately enlisted by the government to calm village peoples in Pripyat and the surrounding area around Chernobyl. Mere hours after the meltdown commenced, our bus entered the exclusion zone at checkpoint Didyaki. We were not told anything, and the soldiers made it forbidden to speak to the village people. Imagine not knowing a disaster was taking place, yet seeing the strange workings of the radioactivity all around. People were getting sick, they were dying, they were quarantined and not allowed to leave the zone. Some believed the world was ending. We all became resigned to the fact that we were going to die. The soldiers had masks and guns. They could see the fear on their face, too. As dead men and women, we gave our best performance ever. Allow me to describe our final performance at Pripyat. As the music played, the ballerina danced like never before. The passion of the music and her movements were legendary. She was a beautiful girl dancing her final dance with love in her heart. She allowed her long, flowing hair down, and it seemed to float mystically in the air. As the music crescendoed and she spun delicately around, her hair was flying away from her head. Gently, long gold strands of her hair floated to the floor as she danced. I saw blood leaking from her nostrils and down cheeks from her ears. The sparse crowd knew that this was the start of something bad. The children ran to her with flowers from the meadow. Their hair and teeth had started to fall out over the past few hours. The petrol generator stalled, and for several moments we were in darkness. I swear I saw the flowers glowing. That night, I climbed out a window of the lodging house. The soldier, who saw me before, saw me again. He lowered his carbine when our eyes locked in silence. I ran through an alley and a hot-wired a car. I drove nonstop to the northwest on back roads. I learned as a boy, avoiding checkpoints imposed by military. I siphoned gas from other vehicles in the night. I began losing my vision during the flight. And by the time I escaped the USSR, I was completely blind. And I'm the only musician who lived.
That's pretty wild. A lot of comments in the chat asking why they kept playing, why they kept playing.
They were basically held at gunpoint. So they assumed that they were going to die. He just made a run for it at the end.
That's crazy. How are these people alive still?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really, really creepy. It's a creepy story.
I'm not even, this is like your fucked up stories. Like, I don't even know what to say to that. That's crazy. Picking the flowers, like, so the person said English wasn't his first language, but when you start talking about the flowers and her hair flapping in the wind, and sure pretty crisp there with his language, I thought.
I was kind of self-editing as I was going along. There was definitely some grammatical things in there that were like, okay, that's not the right word. I was going to change it for this one because this is the way it's supposed to flow. But yeah, there were a few things that I was like going, okay, here we go.
People are asking who forced them to stay and why.
The Soviet soldiers. They were
not familiar, I guess, with the situation.
Yeah, so they were in the area. They knew that this was happening, but they were kind of being pressed into keeping people calm while they were sorting out what was going on during Chernobyl's meltdown. And it was already too late for most people that were in the area.
But you still, just like everything else in life, you still have these stories that come out of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it is. The whole Chernobyl meltdown is one of the one of the more interesting stories of nuclear power gone awry.
What year was that?
I don't remember the actual year.
This person's a survivor, though. It's they're obviously aged.
Yeah.
Thank God for the internet, you know? You'd just be relying on people writing stuff down and then somebody sharing it, you know?
Yeah.
Which still might be the case, but nevertheless, you can post it on the internet and get that experience from it. That's crazy, though. And that's just like one story of endless stories that are, we can classify them as messed up, scary, or whatever, you know?
This one has a lot of similar things with my next one. So, like, I saw this one first. Oh, that's a good one. And then I found my next story. I was like, oh, this is the crescendo for the night for me. I'm just going to end off on this next story. So, these stories in particular, though, because like nuclear power is wonderful on many accounts, but wonderfully dangerous on others. So, like, you have to treat it with a respect that you don't even treat gasoline with. It's like we mess around with petrochemicals like crazy, but nuclear power is so much more powerful that it's insanity to think of what can happen when something bad happens with it.
But I mean, here's the thing, though. Like you talk about that, it's not the nuclear power, right? It's a person that either makes an error or is handling this nuclear power that's behind it all. That's the scary part. It's not obviously the it itself is terrifying, but it's the people behind it in this, and the Soviet Union during this time where
there was a lot of mismanagement. There's still mismanagement today across the world. But yeah, there was a lot of mismanagement with how they handled, the reactors, how they handled their energy sources, such as those little thermal generators that those one guys ran into. And it's scary. They're terrifying, really, because it's like an evil force that you can't see that's killing you, and it's 100% real. Like, there's no question about radioactivity being a thing. So, like,
it would be a thing without people, though.
Yeah.
This is we're talking about Fallout, and this is obviously inspired by Fallout. Just think about these are just small scale things in the bigger picture of the world.
Yeah.
Think about a huge scale thing and forced to stay there. That's pretty messed up. I guess at that point in time, where would you go, though,
Yeah, I mean,
how much exposure is that, I don't know the science behind it.
Yeah, I remember hearing at some point, but I didn't really get numbers again, but it was a fairly extreme exposure to radiation to a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. There was I want to say good story, but it's sad. I mean, another your sad stories night, but makes you wonder if you're in like an area where you're completely defenseless too, right? Like things could have gone really bad here.
Yeah.
But some places just defenseless on it against them.
Yeah.
Comments about it's crazy how that person survived. It makes you wonder, like, how passed down was this story,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this was like being translated from another person that's writing it down or something. I don't know. It's really interesting when you think about how people survive certain crazy events. Like we've had stories about the guy who fought the bear.
Gene Mo.
Yeah, he survived that. You got the one fellow who he had that boulder on his arm, and he had to actually breaking his arm off or cutting it off and something.
Yeah,
you have all these things that people survive. They're just, you don't think a human being can survive that. And so, like, someone surviving this, as sick as he got, going blind permanently from this.
You think Gene Mo could have got the bear if it was radioactive?
Yeah, I still think he could have taken the bear. He would have taken the Fallout bear.
You're talking the one directly from the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrifying, wasn't it? That guy's like, oh shit. He starts running. Such a great show, man. I'm just amazed by that. 1986 is the year our moderator finally came through.
Yeah, he said that he was trained as a pianist in 1970.
Hey, I like that. I think that was a pretty neat twist in there, right? I mean, this guy's a pianist. He's very musically gifted.
Yeah.
And great detailed description of beautiful women, too. So I'm always for that.
Yeah, everybody.
She's a good girl. She's crazy about Elvis.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get on this show. That's kind of the cool thing about it, right?
That's what I enjoy about it.
Jeff Townsend Media. CG, good night.
And the question is, do I stay here? Will you be back?
Are you gonna come back? Will you be back? Are you coming back?